One of the main aspects of Legacy 2026 was the introduction to the Ninjago Builder minifigure selection in the LEGO store. This was something that you actually had to go in physically to get your hands on for more variants of Ninjago minifigures. And I'm gonna be honest, I've had them basically since they came out. I've had them on my desk for a while now, and I've had a very long time to sit there and stare at them. But I just haven't really mentioned them all too much because they've been in a really weird part of my brain for me. Because whilst I think objectively this is a good thing, and I'm hoping that LEGO do more, I'm just kind of on the fence about these minifigures. So, in today's video, I'm gonna take a look through them and explain why I've been a bit hesitant on them. And here they are, and as an overall package, what you get is 7 minifigures, and 6 of them actually do come with accessories, or what is meant to be their accessory. The only one that doesn't is Aaron, and I will get into that in a moment. But the thing is that as a bunch, they're pretty cool looking, and I'm gonna go through them from my least favorite to my favorite. So I'm going to start off with the younger variant of Lloyd, and it's not that this is a bad minifigure, I'm going to get this out of the way. I think all of them are good, it's just this one for me feels almost like the least creative of the bunch. Of course, for the most part, it is just reusing aspects of the Legacy ZX Lloyd, which, as far as I'm aware, if you just get the set, you're gonna get 3 of them, so it definitely does feel like this was just a needless addition. There are some decent little bits that do come along with it though, the main thing being the fact that it does come with the kid head Lloyd from the first instance of Legacy, so if you weren't there for that time, you can get a new Lloyd variant head, which is pretty good. But this is just by all accounts the kid Lloyd, and whilst that's fine, I just don't really think I care for it. I think it's just a solid addition to an already solid lineup. I will say, the main thing for me is just the fact that I wish it was more in line with the original Young Lloyd. Me personally, I have on display an altered version of Young Lloyd, which uses the original ZX torso and also the Legacy hair, and I think that is completely fine. And also, the original head print, I feel like I need to specify that. But that is what, in my opinion, Young Lloyd is, and just kind of not this one. His accessory also is just kind of meh. I don't recall Lloyd ever using a slingshot. I may be thoroughly wrong, but in my opinion, I just don't really care for this as an accessory. I would have much rather some sort of elemental piece, or just some sort of significant factor that does come to his elemental power. I just think it was a bit of a waste of a space, and ultimately, I just don't really care for the minifigure. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's really weird to describe. Second up for me is going to be the young version of Aaron, and I really do like having a younger variant of him. I will say that I do think that it's a very nice little addition, and I don't really know where else they could have put it, so this is the perfect use in my opinion. He does use a generic city face, but that is completely fine, and I don't think that is overly bad, but the detail on the torso I do quite like. It captures Aaron quite well. I think it does fairly well to do what he is meant to do, and I really appreciate it for that fact. I think it just is young Aaron. I don't really think there's much more to him apart from that, to be honest with you. The problem is, like I said, is that he does lack an accessory. I think the fact that he doesn't come with one is just a bit of a shame, and especially with Build a Minifigure where you're meant to give every character an accessory, I think it's just a bit of a wasted potential. It feels like they just didn't really know what to do with him when they could have done at least something. They could have given him some sort of version of his grapple hook, or they couldn't have given him a pie. There's many things that they could have done when it does come to Aaron, they just simply didn't. This feels just like there was a bit of an afterthought, and that is just an ultimate shame because it is a worthy slot when it does come to this selection. It just feels like where Lloyd had a weird accessory that didn't really make sense, Aaron just kind of fell by the wayside in accordance with it. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's really strange to really determine, and I don't really know how else to put it. So whilst Aaron is good, I just feel like he felt almost forgotten. But don't worry, it's time to be more positive because we're going to now go into young Sora. This version of Sora I really do appreciate. Again, she's using a generic city face, which is completely fine. But the torso is unique. It is a standard version of what is essentially the Imperium civilian outfit. And this has so much potential in terms of just world building your own Ninjago collection. You could utilize this torso to make a Imperium civilization. This is the building blocks, and I'm glad that we do actually have it. She also is utilizing the monkey kid hair, I believe it came from. I mean, this was initially on adult Sora, which wasn't accurate, but it is accurate to young Sora. So I do like having it here. I think it's a welcomed addition, and I'm very happy that we actually do got it. I think it's just a fun little bit to have, and definitely does just make sense. Accessory wise, she comes with a wrench, which is very fitting of the character of Sora. I think it's a really cool little addition. I think it does just make sense. It's not special by any account, but it just simply works. I don't know how else to really put it. I think it's just makes sense for the character of Sora. But again, in similar vein to the other two, whilst the accessories so far have been a little bit lackluster, and to be perfectly honest, that does kind of continue, I do just think these are ones that now are starting to make sense. It just feels like ones that work in context with the characters of who they are. So honestly, this is the first character of the bunch that I don't have basically a glaring issue with, and that will continue throughout here onwards. I just think that this is a very suitable version of young Sora, and it's cool to have both of these characters now in young variants, especially with some somewhat unique prints. I just think it works very well, and I'm glad that I do have them. The fourth character I want to take a look at is Dareth. This is a rendition of his original outfit by all accounts, and I have to say, I really do like this one. It takes a lot of aspects from previous Dareths, but I honestly do think for the better. He comes with the head print that we got in the previous Dareth, which was the bartender variant, but I really do like that, and I like the expressions that come with it. It feels very much like the character, and I definitely do like that. But like I said, with the addition of this torso, which is very reminiscent, I think it's just a very nice addition to any Dareth collection. Dareth has had a very consistent line of good minifigures, and this is no exception. His accessory is a golden trophy. I really like this one. I much prefer it over the giant silver one that he got with his very first minifigure. I think this just feels more in line with who he is and what the character actually goes about. This feels like something he'd have in his collection, whereas the silver one felt like just a reference to Ninjago run. I just appreciate the detail, and I think it's just a nice accessory to actually have when it does come to the character. The only downside is the fact that it hasn't got leg printing, but unfortunately that is just a bit of a theme of these minifigures. There's only one that does have leg printing, which I think is a bit of a shame, but I'm ultimately not mad, especially in the case of Dareth where he hasn't had leg printing in 12 years. So on an overall, I just think it's a really solid minifigure. I don't have many complaints with him. I just think it's a very nice addition, especially to the rest of the Dareths. We officially have 5, and I think that's just cool to have. The fifth minifigure is Pixel. This is a new legacy rendition of her original design by all accounts. She has this really nice little cloak on, and I think it just kind of works. I really like this design, and honestly it might be one of my favorite Pixels. It's cool to have her just not in the Samurai X suit. I think that's just another big thing for me. It's nice to actually have, by all accounts, a casual version of her. She has got Samurai X representation. The back of her actually does show the Samurai X symbol, which I really do like. But I just really appreciate this print. It just feels nice. It just feels like a nice print that she would have when she's not Samurai X. It just kind of works. Accessories wise though is where it gets a little weird. She comes with the translucent orange katana. I have no recollection of her ever using a weapon like this, but fair enough. This is her weapon. And I'm not saying it doesn't look good because it goes really nicely with the purple. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and that's why it left me a little bit confused. The other big thing is again the lack of leg printing, but I don't really know what they could have done for leg printing in this case, so I don't really mind, and I just like how the minifigure looks in general. The other thing, I guess, before I round it off is the fact that she does utilize the Dragon's Rising head print instead of one from Core. I do like that she does come with the mask, and the mask being in purple on the double-sided, being purple does, well, match. I really like it. I think it just kind of works. So it's just another really nice addition to the Pixel lineup, and like I said, fairly unique because it's a non-Samurai X suit. It just has that unique flair and stand out, and definitely does make her worth it because of it. This brings us on to the sixth minifigure, which is the only version of Mustake, and this was the big bring-in when it did come to this lineup. This was one of the bigger aspects we did have, especially considering that the humanoid version of her was actually also coming in Old Town. But this variant has got a unique head print, and I really do like the head. I think it works really well. It's just the rest of it kind of disappoints me. I really like the minifigure, don't get me wrong, and that's why it's all the way up here at second best for me. It's just the fact that I just kind of don't like the fact it's just reused of Garmadon pieces. It is literally just the Garmadon torso from the first line of Legacy, and then just the plain black legs to go along with it. When if you look at the design in show, it's very unique, it's very dynamic, there's aspects of gold to it. There's a lot going on with the Oni Mustake design, and it feels like it was almost wasted being here. So whilst I'm really glad we got it, I just feel like it was honestly wasted potential. Her accessory is just a silver katana. They probably should have put her with a black bow staff because that's what she used in the show, but I digress. The thing is that it still does work and she does look cool with the sword. It just feels like, again, like they kind of forgot what they were doing within the Oni trilogy. It just feels like a really weird way of just saying, just give her a sword and she's done. So again, whilst I like it, it doesn't work. It's such a polarizing minifigure and I don't know how else to describe it. Because on an overall, it's really good, and I'm really glad we got it. We got 2 Mustake minifigures in 1 year, and I think that's great. But the thing is, like I said, it's just there's so many little caveats to it that I just find extremely strange. But just at a base level, I really like it. But honestly, that's fine. Because if I have a problem with something and I still like it, it shows that it's still good regardless. So, whilst it does have these glaring issues in my opinion, it's still a pretty good minifigure. And then lastly, which I think is the biggest and the best part by a mile when it does come to this lineup, is the blue kimono Nia from March of the Oni. The thing is that this is just a really nice version of the minifigure. I believe it does have some similarities to a Legacy Red design, but the thing is that this one just works and definitely does stand out amongst the rest of the Nias. It's the only one with leg printing, which I can really appreciate, and it does look really good. It would have looked very strange if she didn't have it, so I'm glad that they did it. The only thing is that she comes with the bowl cut. Why isn't she just got her regular hair? I don't understand why they went back to the bowl cut for this particular version. I find that a little strange, but that's very easily replaceable, so it's not really a problem. Accessories wise, she comes with a gold katana. Yeah, sure, I guess. The thing is that why are they putting katanas with these characters when they weren't using katanas? The thing with Kimono Nia is that she could have had her staff, she could have come with a yin-yang symbol, she could have come with a load of different things. But unfortunately, it feels like they just kind of ran low on the budget by this point, which is fine. It's just I wish they kind of had more space and more wiggle room when it did come to it. But the katana's fine, it looks good in the hand, but it just isn't what I would put on her when I have her in my own display. But it just doesn't remove the fact that it's still a really good minifigure. I really like this version of Nia, and it's going to become one of my personal favorites, I have no doubt. It's just, again, just other really weird decisions that go with it. And I think that is going to be the ultimate point of this video. So let me actually get into it. Because on an overall, as I've demonstrated, I really like these minifigures and I like all of them for their own unique reasons, and it's why I'm going to say this above all else. If you are interested in getting your hands on a nice array of new and cool Ninjago minifigures, this is definitely the way forward for you. I think all of them do have good value and they're definitely worth your money because they're not expensive either, especially if you are going into the Lego store and getting them yourself. It's just like I said, the thing is that all of them have these really weird little caveats. Honestly, the ones that I think are the most flawless is weirdly Dareth and Pixel. I think both of them just work in what they were trying to do. It's just all of the rest of them have these really weird little decisions that I'm assuming is being boiled down to the fact that they're under the Build a Minifigure line instead of technically the Ninjago line. But honestly, regardless of that fact, they're still a very good purchase. And this is where I want to hand it off to you guys. Are you picking up the Build a Minifigure line? Are you going to avoid them? Is there any reason why you do or don't like them? And what is your favorite minifigure of the bunch? What is the one that caught your attention? The one that you wanted the most of the lot? I would love to know because I do find these fairly interesting. Like I said, they've been on my desk now for the better part of 2 months. So I'm just constantly looking at them, messing around with them, and just seeing what they kind of have to offer. And the more I look at them, the more I realize they're really weird decisions, but the more I like them at the same time. So I apologize if I've come across weird in this video. It's just I didn't really know what to say about them. But that's why I want to know what you guys think. So just like that, thank you very much for watching the video and I do hope you enjoyed. And if you did, please consider subscribing. I love discussing Ninjago with more people. And if you do want to support the channel any further, which you do not have to, you could always become a channel member and join the legends on screen. Thank you to each and every single one of you. Your support means the absolute world to me. But apart from that, like I said, thank you very much for watching and take care. Okay, bye!